like to thank to Elsevier in the name of Judy to be here, especially in Portugal, in my city. It is a real pleasure to share with you some of the things that I was doing in my life. Is like that. Also, I will try to show you that maybe Craig is not right. Maybe 1 + 1 is not 3, it's 4 or 5. Let's see if at the end of this day we will reach this and we will break all these, all the laws. So, as it was mentioned by, let me see, there is a watch, I need to take on time. Someone tell me if I have for the last 5 minutes. Okay, thank you. So, as it was mentioned, I'm a professor at Nova University, and this is a little bit the title that I choose to talk to you, because this is not a common conference for me. Usually I used to talk to scientists, so I will mix a little bit. And the title is From Research Leadership to Policy Responsibility. So I will try to talk a little bit about these topics. So I will start just to tell you who I am. So in fact, I am a scientist, and I was born in Almada, just the other city of the Tagus River, on the other side of Lisbon, on the 22nd of July, 1964. So, what is my journey in terms of research? Always from curiosity to propose. This is my lemma. I have always been driven by the desire to create and make things happen. I guess this is in my blood. This passion led me to study engineering, and along my academic journey, I discovered that research was my true path, especially after being invited to join and to work inside a research laboratory. This is how I start this journey. And why this matters? In my opinion, science is no longer confined, science leadership, is no longer confined to the laboratory. We need to talk on global challenges, especially global challenges demand scientific voices in decision making. This is very, very important, especially nowadays. And researchers are now the key actors in shaping evidence-based policy. So scientists are quite important. And not only in terms of what they discover scientifically, but also in terms of science diplomacy. I used to say that we have an International Space Station over there, and we have scientists from Russia, from China, from the United States, from Europe, working all together. Because science is global. And as scientists, I guess, we have a voice, and we need to use our voice much stronger and also much louder. So, what research leadership means today? Behind excellence, especially fostering vision, ethics, and people, building inclusive teams, promoting scientific integrity, and also mentoring the next generation. I am a professor, and simultaneously I am a scientist, because I am a professor at university. And we, as professors, we have the responsibility to train the future generation, not only professionals, in my case engineers, but also scientists. So professors are crucial, especially in training the future generation. So since this conference, as I mentioned at the beginning, I mixed a little bit between policy, science. Also, I would like to tell you, and also since I have this opportunity in front of you, to explain you a little bit what what I was doing in terms of science, and especially in one area where the science we developed here at Nova University was so important, and also more than that, had a huge impact in all of us. Because science is quite important, but also we need to measure the impact of science. And the impact is what we benefit, not only in terms of a vaccine for COVID, but also in terms of our well-being as a society. And also, and following this, I would like to talk a little bit about transparent electronics. So something that looks like science fiction, but it's not anymore science fiction. It was some years ago, 20 years ago, but now is a reality. And also something that is always behind the science I have in my laboratory deals with sustainability. For example, I invent the first paper transistor, which is something quite strange. I use paper, I use cellulose to make electronics. This was in 2008. And if you remember, the 17 sustainable objectives launched by the United Nations, they appear in 2015. So we start always, and we start much earlier in terms of sustainability. This is the key of my laboratory. So, and why we are talking and why we are looking for solutions? Because we are facing a huge problem, and now I talk a little bit about electronics, or the problem that we are facing today related to electronic waste. As you can see, we are not recycling. We are producing a lot of electronic waste. For example, in 2022, we produced 62 million tons of electronic waste. And if we keep the same rate, it is expected to, by 2030, to produce more than 82 million tons of electronic waste. And this is not sustainable at all. But this is the trend. And maybe this is not the best way we are using today for recycling, not only these earth materials that we are talking about related to semiconductors. This is not the best way to recover all these important materials, especially important for this type of technology, electronic technology. But part of the reason is that, but this is like that, so we are almost 8 billion persons in the world, and the world population is increasing, and simultaneously we increase the number of mobile phones, we increase the number of computers, we increase the number of all electronic, other electronic components. We have now the Internet of Things, so the electronic devices will increase a lot. So we need to think how we will stop, or what are the new solutions for this normal evolution, because all the other populations, especially in non-developing countries, they will start also to use what we are using today. So just for you to have an idea, this is the periodic table. Maybe this is the only more scientific slide that I present today. But just for you to have an idea, for the type of materials that we are using in ICT, we use almost 60 elements for electronic devices, and we just recycle less than 10. And our resources are finite, unless we are going to Mars, to other planets. Now in Earth, the elements are finite. And this is the solution that we proposed some years ago, is what we call the wheel of sustainable electronics. And this wheel, we start with the design. We must start when we are thinking in a new microprocessor, in a new mobile, in a new sensor. We need to start with the eco-design. After that, we need to choose the materials because, okay, we have a lot of virtual things, but at the end, computers, mobile phones, they are physically, they need to have materials. We need to choose sustainable materials and also, in some cases, biodegradable materials. And after that, also, since we need to process the material to build a microprocessor, to build a display, we need also to choose energy efficient and non-pollutant technologies. And after that, at the end, all this product must be recyclable. So this is quite important. We are not waiting for the 17 objectives for sustainability. This is something that we start, I guess, since the beginning of our laboratory. And following a little bit of that, and as you know, we are in Portugal, our resources, financial resources for science are not too much. We need always to look to Europe, and we are part, and we are quite proud to be part of Europe, and we used to apply for European projects. And in 2008, it appears the European Research Council with very attractive grants in all the fields, because as you know, European Research Council, the grants are for all the areas, fundamental, applied, social sciences, biology, engineering, whatever. And I apply for the first call of ERC on 2008. And this is maybe the best emails I receive in my life. On the 25th of July, and as you remember, my birthday is on the 22nd of July, so this was the best gift I got. It was an email from the ERC office saying that I need to prepare my grant agreement. And at that time, the budget for that project was 2.25 million euros, which for us is a lot. So with that, we built, I guess this was the seed for the growing of my laboratory. So even I got a second ERC that I don't talk today because it is in another topic. And it was in 2018, the second ERC that I got, and also the budget which was the maximum allowed, 3.5 million, and also I got a third one, a proof of concept related to all these technologies. But again, this project was about transparent electronics. And as you know, ERC promotes and finances disruptive ideas, not incremental science. Disruptive science. And I apply with a project called Invisible, because it's related to transparent electronics, so it's invisible electronics. And also I just would like to share with you a little bit what is transparent electronics and also what was the success of transparent electronics to all of us. So, in 2004, I don't know if you remember, but the Minority Report from Steven Spielberg, and also with Tom Cruise. In this movie, Tom Cruise uses a lot of transparent displays, but at that time, this was completely science fiction. Even Steven Spielberg, before starting this movie, he talked with, I guess, with 50 scientists from different American universities and ask them in 50 years from now how we will communicate, how we will use communications displays, and maybe some of the scientists tell him some hints, and Spielberg produces this minority report, and also with these huge transparent displays. And also, just for you to have an idea how important are displays in our life, this is just a picture about the evolution of the mobile phones. And if you see, the first mobile phones were too big, too heavy. After they reduced the size, but also this is a little bit a problem for us women, because in our bags, if the mobile phone is too small, we cannot find it anymore. So nowadays the trend was to increase a little bit the size of the mobile phones, and nowadays we have larger mobile phones. But what is important to highlight is that the display of the mobile phone that we are using today is the size of the mobile phone. So the size of the mobile phone is again the size of the display. Also, just for you to have an idea how important are displays, because this project, Invisible, is related with this type of devices. Also in 2011, the first transparent display was presented in a congress. And as you can see, all the glasses we are using, we can embed in the glass electronics, but transparent electronics, materials that are transparent. This is where we are working even now, but this was just the beginning. And, for example, now in 2025,
that's right. Samsung has a better way to actually see through the micro LED to the other side. So micro LED displays, in case you haven't paid attention.
So this is where this project Invisible, granted by ERC, is supporting. For all the displays that we are using, and now for part of the emergent microelectronic technology is used, is based on these new type of materials. Materials that are sustainable and materials that are based, for example, on zinc oxide, on other materials. And in a display, you have the image. And each pixel has behind a transistor. And this type of transistor works like a switch for on and off. And we have millions of pixels in a display, in an active matrix, and all these transistors are using this technology. These are more examples. For example, we can use these on textiles. Maybe the next generation of lighting, we don't use any more lamps. We will use our textiles, and we are able to embed light displays inside the textiles. And this is only possible because we are not using the conventional semiconductors based on silicon. We are using these new sustainable materials. And maybe in the future, this is an example, this is not yet available, but maybe in the future, this is the way how we will use the computers. And why this is possible, all these transparent electronics? Because, as I mentioned, I'm a professor, and in a classroom, we have very good students. The others, we need to train them. But like in a classroom, I used to say that we are now in the presence of a new class of electronic materials. We are not using, not anymore silicon, but we are using copper oxide, zinc oxide, gallium oxide, indium oxide, tin oxide. And all these materials are available in Earth, and also this is why they are sustainable, and also they are not toxic. So, and since they are available, the cost is much lower. And at the end, I am able to recycle all the electronic devices based on this type of materials. And also, I got the ERC, as I mentioned in 2000, the first ERC on 2008. And again, in 2011, this project was already selected by ERC as a success story. They used to do this because they grant millions, not millions, milliards of grants. But my grant, the Invisible Project, they mentioned that forget USA, Japan. The field of transparent electronics has put Portugal well and truly on the map, thanks to Professor Fortunato, and one of the largest grants awarded to a Portuguese scientist. Okay. And also, since this particular topic is quite relevant for display applications, as you know, the display companies are located in Asia. We start to work with Samsung. I have a funny story. When my colleagues from South Korea, they came to Portugal to see our infrastructures, to see our laboratories, just to realize if we are able to do what they want to solve. They told to their colleagues, we are going to Lisbon. And they asked them, but you are going in holidays? No, we are going to see transparent transistors. And also we have patents with them. And also some years later, this was even during the pandemic in 2020, again, the European Research and Innovation Days, they select some projects. They select projects financed by the European Commission that they got a real impact in terms of society. And I got this Horizon Impact Award related to these invisible projects and also to the impact that this particular area got in terms of the displays, not only displays, but also other applications. Also, I was selected as one of the 20 European inventors by the European Commission. I don't know if you recognize the guy that is on my right, is Tesla. And of course, this is not a work alone. We work as a team. We work all together. And all this success is not my success, it's the success of a team that works with us, colleagues, researchers, postdocs, PhD students, and also master's students. So the success belongs to them. So now, just switching to the second part of my talk, when science meets policy, this was a turning point in my career. And I serve as Chief Scientific Officer from the European Commission, Vice Rector from my university, Nova University, and also more recently Minister for Science, Technology and Higher Education. As a scientific officer, this was a huge and an important experience. In 2015, the high-level group was established within the Commission, the European Commission. This was under the supervision of the Commission for Science and Innovation at that time, that was Carlos Moedas. And also he built the first group, and it was a real pleasure to work with Cédric Villani from France, from Rolf Hoyer, that was the ex-director for CERN for several years, Henrik Wegner, that was rector of Copenhagen University, Pearl Dirska from Netherlands, Janusz Bujnik from Poland, and also Julius Lingu from United Kingdom. And also this group was quite important because this high-level group of scientific advisors, we provide the Commission independent scientific advice on policy issues where scientific input is needed for the development not only of the European Union policies, but also legislation. The advice will be based on the best possible scientific evidence, and this is quite important. Our governments at the European level or even at the country level, they must rely on scientific evidence, especially, for example, when, for example, at the political level, we need to apply a new legislation that sometimes is not quite popular, is not very well accepted by the society. If this is based on scientific evidence, this is quite important, because in that way, we as citizens, we will believe and we will accept much better. So here some examples of the opinions that we produce, a lot of them, I put just here a few, for example, fruit from the oceans, novel carbon capture and utilization technologies, also the microplastic pollution, and also other more scientific opinions. After also, I joined my university as vice rector for the research area, and of course I was responsible for the university's research vision, strategy and agenda, as well as for evaluation and improvement of research quality and input, and also I was responsible at that time for the scientific output using the PURE system. I guess Nova University was one of the first universities in Portugal starting to use PURE. And also I arrived in 2017. At the beginning, this Nova University has 9 schools, and all 9 schools are quite different, not only in scientific areas, but also in cultures. And also this is sometimes not easy to implement and to convince our colleagues how important these platforms and these tools are for research. Also, I created the Strategic Research Council at Nova that still exists, so I'm quite proud to what I have done as a vice rector. Also, I was Minister for Science, Technology and Higher Education. I don't tell you exactly now what I have done, even for only 2 years, but nevertheless, I just would like to highlight also my you will have my presentation, but also I just would like to highlight 2 things from all the many things I have done that I believe that they are quite important. As you know, we have now at an European level a strategy in terms of semiconductors. If, for example, the Asia countries, they stop, or China, they cut or to sell chips to the rest of the world, we will stop. I guess, in my opinion, the semiconductor problem is more important than, for example, the energy. Because for energy, we have alternatives, we have different types of renewable energies, but for chips, for semiconductors, we don't have at this moment. So there is a huge strategy at the European level, like at the United States, related to CHIPS Act, and also we implement in Portugal this strategy. And this was done when I was minister. Portugal, we were the first country in Europe implementing the national strategy for semiconductors. And since this is a very good strategy, and these type of things, they don't have a color of a party. Even more recently, the new Secretary of State for Science, she was talking about already one of the results of this strategy, which is related with a competence center on semiconductors and microelectronics in Portugal that is coordinated by INL, the Iberian Nanotechnology Laboratory. And also we have here the actual Secretary of State talking about this very good initiative. The second one is about ERC. I used to say ERC is the best program in the world for financing science, in my opinion. And also, since this is at the European level, why not to have it at a country level? We belong to Europe. If we have already very good strategies started by Europe, why not to to have the same strategies at the national level and also to have synergies. We cannot go in each direction. We need to converge. And also I implemented the ERC Portugal, and since we are so proud and thankful to this European program, also Maria Leptan, that she is the president of ERC, she was appointed again for the second mandate, and also Nova University attribute to her the degree of honoris causa. And she was here a couple of months ago in Portugal, also visiting my laboratory, and also showing her how important these type of grants are for science, and especially for a country like Portugal. And just to finish, besides all my scientific projects, also I have a very good family project, which is my daughter. And again, never give up. Nothing is impossible until happens. Thank you very much for your attention.